It's been well over a year since we last uploaded a video here on the YouTube channel, and there's a good chunk of me that wants to kind of like ease back into it, make a video that's not going to ruffle any feathers, it'll be more friendly, that sort of thing, right? But something, there's something I've noticed in media that is becoming more and more of the trend, and I want to talk about it. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's Pat, your friendly internet wordsmith, holy enchanter of words, or whatever the hell you want to call me. For today's video, I would like to talk to you guys about something that I like to call toxic female empowerment. Before we get into it though, I want to preface this entire video by saying that I fully support and champion women, not just in media and literature, but in all aspects. The point of this video is not to demoralize, not to demonize, not to oppress women in any way, shape, or form. That's not what this is for. In fact, if you have checked out any of my work or videos here on YouTube, you will have seen that I am a strong advocate for strong female representation. I feel like the term and the phrase is getting a little bit cliche these days, but there's truth in the words, if you can be her, you can see her. We need more strong female representation out here in these streets. That being said, there is a disturbing trend that I've been noticing more and more pop up in media, and it really frustrates me because I can see what the writers and folks that are propagating this stuff, I can see what they are trying to do. This is all about female empowerment, which is a good thing. However, the tactics and the methods they are using to further that goal, in my opinion, they're doing the opposite of what they're trying to set out to do. In all honesty, I'm not sure if this has a term already. If it does, I apologize. But the best way I can describe it is as toxic female empowerment. Now, you may be wondering, Pat, how can female empowerment ever be toxic? I mean, we're talking about uplifting women here. How is that a bad thing? Well, allow me to elaborate. Female empowerment starts to get toxic when, while in the pursuit of trying to uplift women, you actively start devaluing other groups. And more often than not, this other group is men. For an example, let me give you context on what led to the making of this video. Unless you've been living under a rock for the past month, you've likely heard about the latest HBO Max show, Velma, which, as of recording this video, has its entire first season available for streaming. Now, even back when promotional materials were coming out for this show, I got the impression that at best, this wasn't going to be my cup of tea, and at worst, it was going to embody everything about the current extreme feminist agenda that just is not very pleasant. Let's just say I rolled a nat 20 on that perception check. But since this is a YouTube video and you guys might not be, keen on D&D lingo, let me break it down for you. So you may be wondering, well, Pat, what had your ruffles so feathered? Like, why were you so bothered? Was it the fact that they race swapped, like, all of the main cast? No, actually. I am a firm believer of, I care more about the performance than I care about race swapping, especially for an animated show. I'd much rather the essence of a character carry over to the medium than whether or not they got skin colors correctly. I mean, unless they're like blatantly offensive with it, then it's like, what the fuck, bro? But I care more about performance and quality than that. So, is it because that there is no Scooby-Doo in the Scooby-Doo based show? While I do fucks heavily with the Scoob, no, I'm actually kind of glad Scooby-Doo was, you know what, we're going to use his government, Scoobert. I'm glad Scoobert was spared this abomination of a show. You dodged the bullet, Scoob. So what then is it? What has me so bothered? Well, The writers have, with this show, created the most irritating, the most callous, the most manipulative, the most just downright dark pit of assholery, and they expect us to want to root for and see Velma succeed. I'm talking about, yes, the title character, the person this entire ensemble is wrapped around, Velma. We're supposed to root for her, but she is seriously the most unlikable character I've frankly ever seen. From the very beginning of the show, and I mean the very beginning, we're talking first few seconds of opening narration, we get treated to Velma's supreme bitchiness and judgmental personality. I'm sorry. I mean her sassy charm and snarky personality.
My name is Velma Dinkley, and this is my origin story. Sure, normally origin stories are about tall, handsome guys struggling with the burden of being handed even more power. And if they are about girls, it's usually like, hey, what made this hot chick go crazy?
Now, I think I see what the writers are trying to do here. I could be wrong, you know, fiction is often up to interpretation, but I'm pretty sure I got it. The writers here are trying to lay down some meta commentary on the nature of storytelling and, you know, show the double standards when it comes to male protagonists versus female protagonists. Unless I'm reading this wrong, don't think I am. I'm pretty sure the readers are trying to say that men in fiction, their stories typically are of them already being in a position of somewhat power because, I mean, they were born with a dick, duh. And them going on a journey, attaining more power, more responsibility, more privilege, more pristine, and, you know, just elevating. Conversely, it seems like the writers are trying to say that when we get women in fiction, it's typically about how some beautiful woman was driven insane. Kind of weird thing. Never really thought of that, to be honest. And really, I'm not here to debate who has what privilege, who has what, you know, I'm not interested in that. I'll simply say that it's my belief that men and women, we both have privileges. Men have some that women don't. Women have some that men don't. Frankly, I find it irrelevant who has more. I feel like the bigger issue is creating an equal playing field between men and women and not harping on, well, you get to do this, well, I can't do that. Now, that being said, this is some old bullshit. Now, I can sit here and I can write an entire list on all of the women that I just love and admire in fiction. And none of their stories revolve around how hot they were and being driven insane. Like, I understand the type of story they were trying to pinpoint and try to paint in a broad stroke as this is women in fiction, but that's not the totality of it. And what really bothers me about the statement is that it really does two things. First, it creates division between genders. It makes a clear distinction and paints one positively and one negatively. The other thing that bothers me is that it also perpetuates the stereotype that women are always the victim. Because hot girls, they can't just be inherently crazy and unhinged. I mean, every woman in the history of womanhood has just been a pillar of peace and stability. And if they're not, then by golly, something has had to have happened to just destabilize this person in such a drastic way. If you couldn't tell, I'm injecting sarcasm and humor into the situation. Don't cancel me in the comments, or I guess do. I don't know. I hear comments are good for the algorithm, so go down below, leave me something. Let me remind you that we are still within the first few sentences of the first episode of the show. And it only gets worse. Like, Velma in this version of Velma, she is that stereotypical character who has to say whatever pops into their mind, and they wear their sharp bluntness as a badge of honor. Like, hey, look at me. I am just so raw and unfiltered and unapologetically me. But the minute they leave the room, everyone breathes a collective sigh and is just like, what a bitch. What makes Velma worse though is all of her snarky quips and sassy remarks. They're just so ham-fisted and in your face with, attacking and demonizing men and just, pitying the female demographic, or just sometimes just flat out being horrifically mean to a random demographic of people. So where does the female empowerment aspect come into play here? Well, the show tries to paint Velma as, this smart, witty, relatable minority girl who, she isn't traditionally beautiful by society standards. But you know what? That doesn't fucking matter, because she is just this woman who kicks so much ass, and she's just intelligent and smart and witty and funny, and you know what? She could probably kick your dad's ass. Now, don't get me wrong. This is undoubtedly a good thing to strive for. We need more strong representation in our fiction. And I don't mean just strength in the traditional physical aspect, because strength comes in a lot of different shapes and sizes. And also notice I didn't say female representation, because frankly, men were lacking in that department too. We need representation, minority representation, in all aspects of fiction. Come on, Hollywood. Get with the fucking program. That being said, there's a good way to do it, and then there's Velma. See, Velma's path to achieving this goal is not by investing in their main lead, female character. No, that'd make too much sense. No, probably be more difficult too. Velma tries to achieve this by kicking down and knocking over anyone who is not the main character, Velma. And ironically enough, that's not where it stops. Because Velma gets her fair share of kicks too. So, and this is off the cuff here. This isn't actually in my script, but I just thought about it now, so I'm including it. Velma gets kicked down a lot too. So they want to have the cake and eat it too. It's like, all these other people are shitty. Velma's better than them. But Velma's getting kicked too, so let's feel bad for Velma. So everyone gets a kick to the face here. So you may be thinking, Pat, you're overreacting. The show doesn't hate men. You're seeing things. No, they would never produce 10 episodes of a series and just bash men over and over and over and over and over.
A few moments later.
Over and over and over and over and over.
2,000 years later.
Over and over and over and over again. I really wish I was seeing shit. Every single man in this show is mad unlikable in some way. Like the mayor and sheriff. Just two horny ass dudes who openly, very openly by the way, show their attraction to the underage high school girls in the show. Who also, by the way, are highly sexualized. It's bad. Velma's dad, mad unsupportive and a dick and just super misogynist. At one point he's reading a book just in broad daylight in front of his family. I want to say the title of the book was something to the effect of, so you wanted sons but only got daughters or something like that. It just fucking highly inappropriate. Fred is this pretty rich white boy, and no, I don't mean like pretty in the sense of he's pretty rich. I mean pretty in the sense that he is like the stereotypical, just pretty faced white boy with just mad white privilege. He's racist, he's sexist, and he has a tiny dick. Again, I wish I was joking here, but no, no, I'm dead ass serious. And frankly, I go back and forth debating who got the worst character assassination here, but Fred is usually top of the list here. Like, at one point, they even compare him to Hitler, because of course, all rich white guys are secretly Hitler. And again, I am still not joking here. I'm gonna put it up on screen. They got my boy dressed up like he's fucking baby Hitler. Like, oh, the fuck. And get this, it gets worse, right? So Fred is about to be exonerated because since he is such a privileged white guy, he can't even cut his own steak. So how could he have murdered these girls on the high school campus and cut their brains out? Couldn't have done it, right? Well, the writers didn't stop with the character assassination. No. They take it a step higher. Fred is so emasculated by just being this man baby and everybody making fun of him that he bursts out in a fit of rage, gets the fucking bloody steak just all over him so he looks like a fucking serial killer. And he's just like, yeah, I definitely could have shanked them bitches if I wanted to. And it's like, all of this, I remind you, stems from the fact that he has a tiny dick. And I'm not joking here. They multiple times are like, dude's got the micro peen. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm sure that there are a lot of small dick dudes out here, and I apologize to you. But I sincerely doubt that the small dick insecurity vibes are so strong that you would rather implicate yourself in going to prison than take the... Am I making sense here? I don't think any guy with a small dick would be like, you know what? I got a big dick. I could have stabbed them people if I wanted to. It doesn't make sense to me. I just realized we're going to be saying dick a lot in this video. I didn't realize how many times we were going to be saying dick, so I apologize for all the dick. By far, the only character that I really found likable and can relate to a little bit, which I don't know what that says about me. But the only character that I found to be a little bit likable was Shaggy. And I can't even fucking call him Shaggy. I know he's Shaggy, but I can't call him that because his name's Norval. They use his government in the show. I kind of get the feeling that in season 2 he's going to become Shaggy. But yeah, he's the only genuinely likable character in the show. But he simps for Velma. He simps so fucking hard. And it doesn't make sense. Like, she treats him like absolute shit. And he goes so far as to almost sell one of his kidneys in order to get a date with her. Doesn't do it. Thank fucking God. But yeah, I mean, I guess simping ain't easy, but I don't think I've ever heard of simps going through with the fucking selling kidney on the black market to get some of that gamer girl bathwater. I don't. So yeah, according to the Velma writers, yeah, all men are just fucking problematic. And Velma in this show is just a genius. She's smart. Deal with it. Uh, Except she's not. So, what I think the writers were trying to do here is, I believe they were trying to have Velma be that character that always had something to say about everyone's situation. She always had the answer for everything. I feel like that's the target they were shooting for. The problem is Velma, she never has anything intelligent to say about anyone or anything. Like, all of her comments are just at best, they're an uncalled for jab at, just a solo particular person. And at worst, they're just going after an entire group of people who oftentimes didn't have anything to do with the situation. Like, they go fucking hard. And it's just like, damn near everything out of Velma's mouth is some kind of meta commentary that's supposed to be smart and witty and just a critique of modern culture, I guess. But it just comes off so cringy and just so malicious, and all it never leaves me thinking, you know what? Society is kind of like that, and we should probably do something about that. No. The thought that it leaves me with is, what the fuck was that for? So this is the part of the video where I get a little bit more personal. More personal than I already have been, sharing my opinions on the matter. Scooby-Doo has, for most of my life, been a series that, the franchise, that has been very near and dear to my heart. I grew up watching reruns of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? A pup named Scooby-Doo was my shit. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island will always be the undisputed GOAT of the Scooby-Doo movies. I will argue that till death. Fuck Scrappy-Doo. Now, of all the iterations of Scooby and the Gang, without a doubt, my absolute favorite has got to be Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, and it's for a number of reasons. The biggest reason is that the overarching narrative is really cool. I like how they give you the weekly Scooby-Doo rounding up who's the monster of the week, unmasking them. It was just some dude trying to, fucking tunnel under the bank or something. You get that. But you'll also get an overarching mystery that spans, if I remember the show right, centuries before Scooby and the Gang were even born. It's just a really cool show that gives you just everything Velma doesn't. You get character development. You get genuine camaraderie between the Scooby Gang. It's fucking dope. Now, one thing that these two shows do have in common, and if you've seen both, you'll know what I'm talking about. One thing they have in common is that Velma she's sassy, right? She's very sassy in Mystery Incorporated. However, it's different, right? And the key difference between Mystery Incorporated Velma, and Velma, is that, from what I can remember, there was never a time in Mystery Incorporated where Velma ever just attacked someone. Like, her comments were always kind of snarky and kind of quippy and yeah, demeaning a little bit sometimes, but they were always like justified. Like, somebody will have genuinely said some stupid shit and she'd just be like, really? Like, you really let that come out your mouth? Whereas in Velma, HBO Max Velma, she just goes on just attacking people. Like, And not only attacking people, but the group of people that person is representing. Furthermore, everyone in the show has their value. You got Scooby and Shaggy. They're Scooby and Shaggy. They're, cowards with a love of food, but, when shit goes down, they're down to help their friends even though they're scared. Yes, Daphne, she's clumsy and often the damsel in distress, but she's keenly observant. She, picks up on things. She's usually the first one to notice when something is off. Fred is by far the worst character in the show, and I don't mean that in the sense of, he's a bad character. I mean that in the sense of he's number 5 on a list of top 5. Somebody's got to be last. He's your stereotypical himbo. He's not very bright, but, he's got charm. He's got heart. He's a natural leader, and he's quite the engineer. He comes up with all the traps that, do they always work? No, but they're very intricately put together, and yeah, he's all about his traps and catching dudes. Not in that way. And Velma, she is genuinely smart in this show. Like, she frequently spouts off some scientific shit. And, I went to school for words. I say that all the time. So I don't fucking know what she's talking about half the time. But if she doesn't also know what she's talking about, then she's a really good fucking actor. I'll tell you that. Like, she is genuinely smart in this show. In this Velma, well, her idea of intelligence is spouting off some woke shit that, might sound witty and, intelligent and when you first hear it. But the more you think about it, the more you realize it's just fucking stupid and misinformed. And note that I said might, because you're probably just gonna all first hearing it think that this is just plain fucking stupid. I think what hurts me most, and yes, I realize hurt is a strong word, whatever, it's my video. What hurts me most is that Velma was always my favorite of those meddling kids and their dog. I realized that obviously Velma and I don't share the same gender. She's female, I'm male, duh. But I saw a bit of myself in her. You see, much like Velma, I too was a somewhat socially awkward person who valued brains over brawn, despite me being built like an offensive lineman. To see a character that I've been so fond of over the years just completely bastardized, it's a hard pill to swallow. Especially considering that, in my opinion, Velma was never a character that needed empowerment. She's always been the smart one in the group. She's always been the intelligent one, the one with the deductive reasoning, the one who put things together, the one who explained what was going on, not just for, the group of her and her friends, but also for the audience. She never needed to be uplifted, in my opinion. OG Velma never needed to just throw jabs at people to be hurtful and make herself feel more superior. She was more than capable of doing that and adding value just by being herself. So the key takeaway I want you to take away from this video is that there's a right way to do things and a wrong way. And the second you try to put down and devalue a character with the intention of making another character stand out more, you done fucked up. And that goes both ways. I know we're talking, the subject of this video was toxic female empowerment, but this works in reverse. It is not okay to conversely put down women in a story with the sole purpose of uplifting men. Two-way street here. Doing things like this never achieve the desired effect you're going after. All it really does is cement the fact that you wrote a weak character. Because if your character was strong and empowered and capable of standing on their own, why is their place threatened by someone else being on the same playing field as them? If you wrote a cast of characters that all have value, that value would show regardless. If you enjoyed the video, please do, go ahead, hit like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Help me out. It lets me know that you, one, enjoy the video, and two, helps push this video out for others to also enjoy. If you're in the market for a fantasy adventure featuring some positive female empowerment, then be sure to check out my novel, The Blighted Flame. Now available on more than just Amazon. We've recently expanded distribution, so we're covering a lot of, different retailers if Amazon is not your cup of tea. Or you can check out my Kindle Vella series, Covenant of the Ashen Wolf, starring a strong female protagonist and her crew of bandits. Or why not get both and get that double dose of fantasy action with a little bit of romance on the side? All the links are down below in the description, or you can just click this nice little QR code right here on screen using your smart device of choice. Peace out, and I will see you guys in the next video.